Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry joy as effortlessly as a breeze, while others seem to constantly search for it, only to find it slipping away like sand through their fingers? Why does happiness come so easily to some yet seem so elusive to others? These are questions that, at one point or another, have crossed all of our minds. In today's world, happiness is often portrayed as something tied to achievement, possessions, or relationships. We're conditioned to believe that happiness comes from having more, achieving more, or being admired. But when we finally grasp these things, we might find the joy we expected to be incomplete or fleeting, leaving us asking ourselves, is this all there is? Buddhism, however, presents us with a different perspective, a profound shift in how we view happiness and fulfillment. This philosophy teaches us that happiness is not something we can get from outside ourselves, it is something we cultivate within. Happiness doesn't depend on external factors but arises from a deep inner well-being that isn't easily disturbed by the ups and downs of life. Imagine a happiness that remains steady, a joy that doesn't vanish at the first hint of hardship. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions, said the Dalai Lama. This insight forms the core of Buddhist teachings. Our actions, thoughts, and attitudes are what create our happiness. Through this lens, happiness isn't something we find but something we build, step by step, in our hearts and minds. In this video, we'll journey through the Buddhist path to happiness, exploring insights, practices, and timeless wisdom that can transform how we experience life. We'll discover ways to cultivate a joyful mind that can weather any storm and a heart that finds contentment in the simplest moments. With an open mind and a willingness to explore, this journey could be the first step toward a happier, more peaceful life, starting with a profound shift in how we understand happiness itself. Let's begin. Part 1. True sources of happiness. When we think of happiness, many of us look outward. We search for it in achievements, relationships, possessions, or the approval of others. But have you ever noticed how happiness from these things tends to be temporary? The joy of a new accomplishment, a new relationship, or even a material possession fades with time, leaving us searching again for that feeling of contentment. Buddhism offers us a transformative view on this. It tells us that true happiness isn't found in anything external, it's not something we can own, achieve, or receive from others. Instead, happiness is an inward experience, something we cultivate within our own minds and hearts. This approach invites us to turn our focus away from what we want and towards who we are, toward our inner state of mind. Imagine a day spent in complete solitude, sitting quietly in nature, perhaps under a wide, open sky or beside a calm, gentle river. There's nothing special happening, no achievement, no validation, no crowd to cheer you on. Just stillness. And yet, in this space, a profound sense of peace can settle in, a kind of joy that is soft, quiet, and unwavering. This is the kind of happiness Buddhism encourages us to nurture, a happiness that doesn't rely on external factors but springs from a calm, contented mind and a heart that feels at peace. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without, the Buddha reminds us. When we understand that happiness is cultivated within, we stop looking to the world to give us joy. Instead, we begin to nurture our own peace, independence, and stability. This doesn't mean we withdraw from life, but rather that we engage with life differently. We experience each moment without clinging to it, finding joy in the flow of life itself instead of chasing fleeting desires. This inward approach to happiness is available to all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, or what you possess. With patience and practice, you can find that happiness, like a quiet lake, exists inside you, waiting to be uncovered, steady and unaffected by the waves of life. Part 2. Impermanence and letting go of attachments. One of the first, and perhaps most powerful, insights in Buddhism is the understanding of impermanence. Everything around us, our experiences, possessions, relationships, even our own thoughts and emotions, exists in a constant state of change. Life, in its essence, is fluid and ever-shifting. Yet, as human beings, we often resist this natural flow. We try to hold on to things, hoping they'll stay the same forever. But, as life inevitably changes, this clinging leads to disappointment and suffering. Imagine holding a handful of sand and trying to keep it from slipping through your fingers. The tighter you grasp, the faster it slips away. This is what happens when we try to control or hold on to things that are, by nature, impermanent. We cling to our expectations, possessions, and people in our lives, believing that stability will bring us lasting happiness. But instead, it often leads to anxiety, disappointment, or even heartbreak when things inevitably change. Buddhism teaches that true happiness comes from embracing this impermanence rather than fighting it. When we accept that everything changes, we begin to let go of the need to control every outcome or keep everything exactly as it is. Instead, we learn to appreciate each moment as it comes, without desperately clinging to it. This shift, this gentle practice of letting go, frees us from unnecessary suffering. The root of suffering is attachment, said the Buddha. It's not life's changes that bring us pain, but our attachment to things remaining the same. When we release this attachment, we become lighter, more adaptable, and more open to the present moment. Life itself becomes less of a struggle and more of a flow, a rhythm that we can enjoy rather than resist. To practice letting go, start small. The next time you find yourself holding tightly to a thought, an outcome, or even an object, gently remind yourself of impermanence. Instead of trying to control the situation, allow it to be as it is, even if it means it changes. Enjoy the beauty of the moment for what it is, knowing that its temporary nature makes it even more precious. By embracing impermanence and letting go, we open ourselves to the possibility of deeper happiness. We begin to see life not as something to control but as something to experience fully. With each passing moment, we can appreciate things as they are, free from the need to make them last forever. In this freedom lies a joy that is timeless, resilient, and truly our own. Part 3. Suffering and Perspective. Suffering is a universal experience, one that everyone encounters at various points in life. But have you ever noticed how two people can go through similar hardships and yet have vastly different reactions? One might feel overwhelmed, while the other faces the challenge with resilience and calm. Buddhism teaches that suffering itself isn't solely a result of difficult circumstances, rather, it often stems from how we respond to those circumstances. Our inner response, our mindset, and our perspective shape how deeply a situation impacts us. Take, for instance, a simple, everyday scenario, being stuck in traffic. It's a frustrating experience that most people dread. Especially when they're in a hurry. But think about it, is it really the traffic that's causing your suffering, or is it your reaction to it? When we get caught in traffic, we might feel anger rising, thinking about how unfair it is, or becoming anxious about being late. This frustration and worry only add to our suffering, yet they don't change the situation at all. The traffic remains the same, whether we're calm or frustrated. As Haruki Murakami wisely said, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. This quote captures the essence of Buddhist teachings on suffering. Pain is a part of life, we all face losses, setbacks, and moments of discomfort. But suffering, prolonged distress, resentment, and resistance, is something we can choose to lessen. When we understand that our suffering often comes from our reactions, we gain the power to change our experience of hardship. One way to practice this is by shifting our perspective during challenging moments. The next time you feel yourself getting worked up over a difficult situation, take a deep breath and pause. Ask yourself if your reaction is helping you or only adding to your distress. Consider choosing a response that brings more peace, such as accepting that the situation is beyond your control or focusing on something positive within it. This small shift in perspective can create a sense of freedom, even in the midst of difficulty. By changing our responses, we gain control over our inner state, even when external circumstances are beyond our control. This doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging that we have a choice in how we react. By learning to respond with patience and calmness, we build resilience and reduce the suffering we experience. Through this lens, every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. Each moment of difficulty is a chance to choose peace over distress, acceptance over resistance. In doing so, we can transform how we experience life, finding strength and freedom within ourselves, no matter what obstacles we face. Part 4. For Noble Truths, Understanding and Addressing Suffering. In Buddhism, the path to genuine and lasting happiness begins with understanding what causes us pain and how we can transform our relationship with it. The Buddha laid out a profound teaching called the Four Noble Truths, a guide to recognizing and addressing suffering in a way that leads to inner peace and joy. These truths are not just philosophical concepts, they are practical insights we can apply to our daily lives, showing us how to face life's challenges with wisdom and clarity. The first noble truth, the truth of suffering, dukkha. The first step to freedom from suffering is simply acknowledging it. Life, by nature, includes moments of difficulty and discomfort, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the stress of work, or even the unease of small frustrations. This suffering, known in Buddhism as dukkha, is part of the human experience. Recognizing this truth allows us to stop resisting or denying life's challenges, which only deepens our distress. Instead, we can begin to face suffering with open eyes and an open heart, knowing that it's a shared experience that we all encounter. The second noble truth, the cause of suffering, tanha. Once we recognize suffering as a part of life, we can explore its source. According to the Buddha, suffering arises from tanha, or craving. This craving is the desire for things to be different than they are, a constant longing for something more, something better, or something permanent. We want success, comfort, and love, and we cling to these things, believing they will bring us lasting happiness. But because life is always changing, our attachments and cravings only lead to more suffering. Understanding this truth helps us see that our desires, while natural, can also keep us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. The third noble truth, the end of suffering, nirodha. The Buddha offers a message of hope in the third noble truth, suffering can end. This is known as nirodha, the cessation of suffering. When we let go of our attachments and stop clinging to desires, we can find a profound peace that isn't dependent on external circumstances. Imagine the relief of a mind that's not constantly chasing or resisting, but instead simply accepting and flowing with life. This peace, this inner freedom, is accessible to anyone willing to release the grip of attachment and allow things to be as they are. The fourth noble truth, the path to the end of suffering, magga. The fourth noble truth introduces us to magga, the path that leads to the end of suffering. This path, known as the Eightfold Path, provides a roadmap for cultivating inner joy, ethical living, and mental clarity. It guides us to live in a way that reduces suffering not only for ourselves but also for those around us. The Eightfold Path isn't about perfection, it's about progress, taking steps each day to bring more mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom into our lives. Together, the Four Noble Truths offer a progressive approach to sustainable happiness. We start by recognizing that suffering is part of life, then we examine its causes, realize that we have the power to end it, and finally, follow a path that brings true peace. This path doesn't take us to happiness as a destination, instead, it reveals happiness as a way of being. As the Buddha said, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. By embracing these truths, we transform our understanding of life, discovering a happiness that isn't tied to what we have or don't have, but to how we walk through each moment with grace, awareness, and an open heart. Part 5. The Eightfold Path as a Guide to Happiness. The Eightfold Path is the Buddha's guide to a life of happiness, wisdom, and inner peace. It provides practical steps for cultivating mental clarity, ethical behavior, and true joy. Each step works together, forming a holistic approach to living that aligns our actions, thoughts, and intentions. Rather than simply avoiding suffering, the Eightfold Path encourages us to proactively create a life of balance and purpose, rooted in deep contentment. Here's a brief look at each step on this transformative path. 1. Right view, understanding the nature of life, including the truths of suffering and impermanence, helps us see things clearly. Free from misconceptions or judgments. 2. Right intention, this involves cultivating kind and compassionate intentions, aiming to live with sincerity, love, and compassion for ourselves and others. 3. Right speech, words have immense power. By choosing to speak truthfully and kindly, we foster understanding and harmony, reducing harm to ourselves and others. 4. Right action, acting ethically, avoiding harm, and treating others with respect lead to a peaceful and fulfilling life. 5. Right livelihood, earning a living in a way that aligns with our values, without harming others, brings a sense of purpose and integrity to our lives. 6. Right effort, this step encourages us to put our energy into developing good qualities, like kindness and patience, while letting go of harmful habits and thoughts. 7. Right mindfulness, being present and fully aware of our thoughts, actions, and surroundings allows us to experience life as it is, without becoming lost in distractions or judgments. 8. Right concentration, developing the ability to focus our mind through meditation and other practices brings calmness and mental clarity, enabling us to connect more deeply with ourselves and the world. Each of these steps contributes to a well-rounded, joyful life, creating harmony within ourselves and with others. By walking the Eightfold Path, we become more conscious of our actions, words, and thoughts, leading us to live with greater purpose and peace. A story of right speech and mindfulness. Consider a story of a woman named Mia, who faced a difficult situation at work. Her colleague, frustrated by a project delay, spoke to her harshly, blaming her for things outside her control. Mia's initial reaction was anger. She wanted to defend herself and argue. But, remembering the principles of right speech and mindfulness, she took a breath and paused. She noticed her emotions but didn't let them control her. Instead of responding with defensiveness, she chose words that were calm and understanding. She acknowledged her colleague's frustration and reassured him that they were working together toward a solution. Mia's choice to practice right speech and mindfulness not only diffused the tension but also strengthened her relationship with her colleague. Her calm and thoughtful response brought clarity to a difficult moment, showing how the Eightfold Path can help us navigate daily challenges with grace and kindness. Living joyfully through the path. The Eightfold Path is not just about avoiding suffering, it's a proactive way to live joyfully. Each step invites us to engage with life in a meaningful, compassionate way. Through the path, we become more than just reactive beings, we become creators of our own happiness. Our thoughts, actions, and intentions align to reflect a life of purpose and inner peace. As the Buddha said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. By practicing the Eightfold Path, we gradually shape our minds to experience happiness, wisdom, and compassion as our natural state. This path is a lifelong journey, one that doesn't demand perfection but asks for presence, effort, and openness. And with each step, we discover that happiness is not a destination but a way of walking through life with intention and joy. Part 6. Practicing mindfulness and meditation. In our busy, often fast-paced lives, it's easy to feel disconnected from the present moment. We spend much of our time either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, and as a result, we often miss out on the richness of the here and now. Mindfulness and meditation offer a way to break free from this cycle, helping us to fully experience each moment, find calm amidst life's chaos, and build a deeper connection with ourselves. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing our full attention to whatever we're doing, whether it's eating a meal, walking, or even washing dishes. Rather than letting our minds wander, mindfulness invites us to engage with the present moment completely, noticing the sights, sounds, and sensations around us. Meditation, in turn, provides a structured way to deepen this awareness, training our minds to stay present and calm even when faced with life's challenges. As the Buddha wisely said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." This quote captures the essence of mindfulness, which is to fully immerse ourselves in the present, free from regret about what has passed or anxiety about what is yet to come. Simple ways to practice mindfulness daily. Incorporating mindfulness into daily life doesn't require special equipment or extra time, it's about shifting our focus and creating small moments of presence in our routines. Here are a few simple ways to practice mindfulness. Mindful eating. Take time to savor each bite of your food. Notice the flavors, textures, and smells. Put down your fork between bites and take a moment to appreciate the nourishment. Mindful walking. As you walk, bring your attention to each step. Feel your feet connecting with the ground, notice the rhythm of your steps, and observe the world around you, the colors, sounds, and movement. Breathing exercises. Throughout the day, take a few moments to focus on your breathing. Feel the air enter and leave your body. This simple practice can help ground you in the present, especially during stressful moments. These small acts of mindfulness create a sense of calm and connection, helping us to move through the day with greater awareness and less stress. The benefits of meditation. Meditation deepens our practice of mindfulness, providing a dedicated time to train our minds. By sitting quietly and focusing on our breath or a calming word, we learn to observe our thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Over time, this practice cultivates inner peace, reduces stress, and sharpens our focus. Through meditation, we become more familiar with the patterns of our thoughts and emotions. Instead of being swept away by worry, anger, or fear, we learn to observe these feelings with a sense of calm detachment. This perspective allows us to respond to life's challenges thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. In addition to calming the mind, meditation has been shown to improve concentration and enhance mental clarity. With regular practice, we find it easier to stay focused on tasks, make clearer decisions, and connect with our inner selves. Building a meditation practice. Starting a meditation practice can be as simple as setting aside a few minutes each day. Here are some steps to help you begin. 1. Find a quiet space. Choose a peaceful spot where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, either on the floor or in a chair, with your back straight but relaxed. 2. Focus on your breath. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. Feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. And let each breath bring you into the present moment. 3. Notice your thoughts. If your mind starts to wander, which it naturally will, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Meditation isn't about having a completely empty mind, it's about noticing when your mind drifts and bringing it back. 4. Start small and build gradually. Begin with just 5 minutes a day, and slowly increase the duration as you feel comfortable. The key is consistency, not perfection. By practicing mindfulness and meditation regularly, we train our minds to remain centered and calm, even in challenging times. These practices allow us to savor life's simple moments, reduce stress, and foster a deeper sense of joy and fulfillment. Over time, we discover that happiness is less about achieving something and more about embracing each moment fully, with an open heart and a clear mind. Part 7. Compassion and loving kindness. At the heart of a joyful life lies the practice of compassion, both for ourselves and for others. While many view compassion as an act of kindness toward others, it is also an essential key to our own happiness. When we cultivate compassion, we open ourselves to the shared human experience, connecting deeply with the people around us. This connection, grounded in empathy and kindness, not only uplifts others but also nurtures a profound joy within ourselves. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion, the Dalai Lama reminds us. Compassion is not just a one-way gift we give to others. It's a gift that nourishes our own soul, bringing us peace and fulfillment. Loving-kindness meditation, metta. One of the most beautiful ways to cultivate compassion is through a practice called loving-kindness meditation, or metta. In this meditation, we focus on generating feelings of warmth and kindness, starting with ourselves and gradually extending these feelings to others. Metta teaches us to wish well for all beings, even those we may struggle to connect with. The practice typically begins by repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease." As we generate this compassion toward ourselves, we build a foundation of self-acceptance and self-love. When we are kind to ourselves, we are more naturally able to extend this kindness to others. After focusing on ourselves, we can direct these same wishes toward loved ones, friends, neutral acquaintances, and even those we find challenging. The goal is to build a sense of connection and empathy for all beings, recognizing that everyone, just like us, desires happiness and freedom from suffering. Practicing metta in this way helps us see others as fellow travelers on the same journey of life, and this perspective fosters a deeper compassion within us. A practical example of compassion in action. Imagine a situation where a coworker or friend speaks to you harshly, maybe out of their own stress or frustration. Your first reaction might be to feel hurt, angry, or defensive. But in this moment, you have a choice, to react or to respond with compassion. By taking a moment to see beyond the words, you might realize that their frustration comes from their own struggles, not from a personal attack on you. Responding with kindness, perhaps by offering to listen or help, can completely change the dynamic. Instead of escalating into conflict, the interaction softens, and both you and the other person feel heard and understood. This compassionate response not only eases the immediate tension but also strengthens the bond between you. Such acts of compassion, though seemingly small, have a ripple effect, creating a more positive environment and bringing a sense of fulfillment and peace to your own heart. The impact of self-compassion. Compassion must begin with ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, judging ourselves for mistakes, failures, or perceived shortcomings. Practicing self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same understanding and kindness we would offer to a friend. When we stumble, instead of criticizing ourselves, we can acknowledge our struggles and extend a gentle, forgiving attitude. Self-compassion is vital for lasting happiness. When we are kind to ourselves, we become more resilient and better able to navigate life's challenges. By accepting our imperfections and learning to love ourselves as we are, we lay a foundation for inner peace and self-acceptance. This inner kindness makes it easier to extend compassion to others, creating a cycle of positivity that uplifts everyone around us. In the end, compassion and loving kindness are not just actions, they are states of being. They remind us of our shared humanity and help us find joy in giving, in connecting, and in being there for one another. Through compassion, we create a life that's not only happier for ourselves but also meaningful and supportive for others. By nurturing compassion, we contribute to a world filled with more understanding, joy, and peace, starting with ourselves. Part 8. Detachment and letting go, releasing burdens. True happiness often means freeing ourselves from unnecessary attachments, whether to possessions, expectations, or even relationships. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring, but rather that we hold things lightly, without allowing them to control our peace or self-worth. In the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How deeply did you let go? Buddha. Detachment invites us to embrace life as it is, without clinging. Consider a man who decluttered his home and felt a weight lift not only from his space but from his mind. By letting go of unnecessary items, he found clarity and peace. Realizing that physical clutter often mirrors mental clutter. Letting go applies to more than just things. It includes releasing rigid expectations of ourselves and others. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we open ourselves to greater peace and joy, appreciating relationships and experiences as they are. In letting go, we find freedom, a happiness rooted in the present, unshaken by change. Detachment allows us to live and love fully, appreciating life without needing it to be anything other than what it is. Part 9. Equanimity, balance in emotions and life. Life is filled with highs and lows, moments of joy and moments of challenge. Equanimity, a key teaching in Buddhism, is the practice of maintaining emotional balance through it all. It allows us to stay steady, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and to find peace regardless of the circumstances around us. Equanimity helps us embrace life with an open heart, undisturbed by its fluctuations. Equanimity isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about observing them without being overwhelmed. Imagine yourself standing by a river. Some days, the water flows calmly, while on other days, it may be turbulent. Equanimity is like standing on the riverbank, watching the water. Aware of its movements but not swept away by them. The greatest wealth is to live content with little, as Plato wisely put it. This sentiment captures the essence of equanimity, where contentment arises not from external factors but from a calm, balanced inner state. A simple practice for cultivating equanimity. To build equanimity, try this simple exercise. 1. Pause and observe. When you notice a strong emotion, whether it's joy, anger, or worry, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and let yourself fully feel it without judgment. 2. Create space between emotion and reaction. Rather than reacting immediately, simply observe the feeling. Acknowledge its presence, like noticing a passing cloud in the sky. 3. Allow it to pass. Remind yourself that emotions are temporary. As you observe, you'll see the intensity naturally soften, allowing you to respond calmly and thoughtfully. Practicing this regularly can help you maintain emotional balance, even in difficult times. Equanimity enables you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, fostering a sense of contentment and resilience that enriches your journey. With equanimity, you discover that happiness lies not in controlling life's events but in learning to flow with them. Conclusion: embracing happiness every day. As we come to the end of this journey, let's reflect on the wisdom we've explored together. Buddhist teachings provide a timeless roadmap for a joyful life, guiding us through practices like mindfulness, compassion, letting go, and equanimity. Each of these elements encourages us to turn inward, to cultivate peace and resilience within ourselves, rather than relying on external circumstances for happiness. Mindfulness teaches us to live in the present, fully appreciating each moment. Compassion opens our hearts, connecting us to others in a way that deepens our own joy. Letting go frees us from the burdens of attachment, while equanimity helps us stay steady. Finding peace in life's natural rhythms. Happiness is not something you postpone for the future, it is something you design for the present, said Jim Rohn. This quote captures the essence of what we've discussed. Happiness isn't a distant goal or an outcome that depends on achieving certain milestones. It's a way of being, a choice we make each day by integrating these practices into our lives. As you continue on your path, remember that happiness is a continuous practice, not a destination. Each day offers a new opportunity to be mindful, kind, and present, to release what no longer serves you, and to live with balance. By embracing these teachings, you're creating a life filled with joy, peace, and purpose, one moment at a time. Thank you for joining this journey, and may each step you take be filled with happiness and fulfillment. If you found these insights helpful and want to continue this journey towards a more peaceful, balanced life, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll stay connected to more inspiring content like this. And if this video resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with friends or family who might benefit from these teachings. Let's spread positivity and wisdom together. Your support truly helps grow our community. Thank you for watching.